With average London house prices smashing through the £400,000 barrier, the pressure for people to get a foot on the property ladder before it's too late has never been so intense. But as well as competing with thousands of others in the same boat, first-time buyers are also having to contend with cash-rich foreign investors. In this cutthroat marketplace, who's going to come out on top? We sent Mark Jordan to investigate.
The end of 2013 and a cup of cheer for those owning their own homes. The year saw London house prices up 15%. But this spectacular world-class city looks a little gloomier for Londoners still struggling to buy.
100 for a house.
Buying up London was once a game for all the family. Now it's a game for all the world.
I own Regent Street. 130 please.
Local first-time buyers are now pitched against global investors eager to cash in on London's soaring house prices and high rents.
I'll buy the Angel Islington.
I don't think you can. I think it's already owned by Michael.
Oh.
We'll be following these London buyers as they play the real London property game. Fast, furious, and often cruel. Louise's £250,000 budget is getting her nowhere.
The property was 240,000. We put in a bid 10 grand over the asking price. The final price we found out was over 30 grand over.
Even with the bank of mum and dad backing Jess, there's still disappointment.
When I go to a repossessed one-bedroom flat in Forest Gate and I've learned that a Chinese investor was there yesterday and is prepared to offer cash to buy the property, it just doesn't seem right.
And meet Michael. He helps Chinese investors buy in London.
We have so many Chinese investors. They're looking for several properties, maybe 3 to 10.
They're going into battle. Tom's wondering if the last £100,000 home in London even exists.
The cheapest property currently available on our books at the moment is this property, like I say, £125,000.
To find out just how interconnected they all really are, I'm making a journey from E17 to the Far East to meet the big new players in the London property game.
London sometimes looks like a bargain, which is a joke to most people in Britain, you know.
Saturday morning in Walthamstow, a two-bed garden flat is about to sell. Guide price £280,000. Buyers have one 40-minute group viewing to make up their minds.
We had 47 booked. We've still got a few people waiting to come. My apologies. All right, thank you.
Join the queue to make the biggest purchase of your life. Welcome to a London property hotspot.
One place I went to, I think there were 130 viewing in one session. So the prices go sky high and it's a bit of a war.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to just put our shoes off.
We're finding the best way of doing it is offering before even seeing the property, because by the time you've seen it, if you leave it, say, 48 hours, it's gone.
If you like this property, you'll have to put in an offer today, otherwise you'll lose it.
The highest sealed bidder gets the flat.
It's like putting your house on eBay.
10 sealed bids are handed to the agent.
It's tough for the buyers. We do feel sorry for them. It's a spillover from other areas. Hackney, Stoke Newington of the property market has rocketed. And a lot of people are coming from those areas, can't obviously afford there, so they're looking at Walthamstow and Leighton.
Later we'll meet the winner of this Walthamstow bidding war. Meanwhile, back in the postcodes our first-time buyers have been pushed out of,
welcome to the Eagle.
A private viewing.
Money talks, money shouts, don't take much to hear.
Michael and his Chinese client are in a mock-up of a luxury high-rise flat still under construction on the edge of Hackney. They might take two with a little incentive.
The price range is from 805,000.
805,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any incentive for the purchaser?
There isn't any incentive. I think that the developer prices things very well.
In the past year, the number of high-rise luxury homes under construction has doubled. Around half go to foreign investors. It's no longer just Mayfair, it's spreading across London. But global turmoil has made London property a safe haven from around the world. Pakistanis are buying in areas like Southall. After the Greek banking crisis, Greeks put their money into King's Cross and Holloway Road. And then there's Asia. £8 billion of Malaysian money is redeveloping Battersea Power Station, with half the first phase of 800 homes sold to Malaysian investors. In prime central London, 85% of new build property was sold to international buyers.
The foreign investors come in, they have money because they want to put it in London because it's a safe haven, really. They might never see the property, they're not going to let it out probably, it's just an investment.
Add to that those coming for education.
My budget is $500,000.
How many bedrooms?
One will be enough.
Are you studying here or?
Yeah, I'm studying at Imperial College. My budget is quite low compared with the others.
There's £150, please.
Oh, wow.
As foreign money pours in, it's helping push our first-time buyers further out.
What's happening is, as that price is going up and up and up, and as the boundaries between where's prime, we're talking about Battersea Power Station here, Nine Elms, over to Canning Town, that's pushing into what was considered a fringe location. And as that happens, it's pushing out the people who are trying to get mortgages.
Back in Walthamstow, the winner of the sealed bid at that packed 2-bed is Leanne, 20 grand over asking price.
It could literally just fall apart any second.
You should be thrilled, why not?
Because the owner is a property developer. He can put the price up, he can get another person who wants to bid higher than us. I can't get excited about it. He won't take it off the market.
Will Leanne land that property? We'll find out. Some say the market's gone crazy. It's not just the foreign cash, the new government Help to Buy scheme, years of housing shortage and a growing population all fuel what's become a London obsession. This is a very average street in a not-so-trendy part of Hackney. 25 years ago, you could have bought a place here for £60,000. Today, they're worth £750,000. These simple houses have gone up, on average, £530 every single week for a quarter of a century. With many homeowners now left to joke they earn more from their homes than their jobs, what hope for those trying to clamber onto the property ladder? Looking for a home up to £150,000, Tom thinks it's now or never if he's ever to escape a lifetime paying rent.
If I save hard, I can save £6-7 grand a year. It seems that housing bubbles and things like that rising, I don't know, £10,000-20,000 a year. So you've got this kind of sense of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So I'll be about 5 or 6 steps back if I leave it another couple of years.
Tom's got a viewing for a 1-bed flat 13 floors up in Seven Sisters, and it's within his budget, up to £150,000.
This is probably the cheapest flat we have. Even some of the studio flats can go for 150 to 200,000. This is on for 125,000. It's a 1-bedroom flat with a balcony, so it's a really good price.
I probably need to have a much larger budget, really. I don't think I'm going to get the type of property I want for that sort of price.
Even the flat's views pointing northwards, out of London. It seems the capital doesn't need buyers like Tom.
From a national perspective, you need first-time buyers, but London is a pretty unique market. And the first-time buyer, to a degree, has been replaced by the investor, both overseas and UK-based.
They need to kind of put a different thing on this, that when you bought it, you get gazumped halfway through and then...
or you get outbid.
All 3 of our first-time buyers are being pushed further out. With a joint income of £55,000, Louise and Nick's £250,000 budget pushes them further east by the month.
No, black cat crosses your path, that's bad luck. The prices were increasing on a daily basis to full-blown £20,000 difference than a month ago. So we've gone from Walthamstow to Leytonstone, Forest Gate, and so did everyone else. Oh look, the bus goes to Walthamstow.
So the next stop is Plaistow, a place they've never even been before, let alone dreamed of living in.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the rest of it, and then it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah. We've spent over 3 years saving up for something that we want it to be right. We don't want to make a compromise on such a big decision.
I don't know.
We've lived all our lives in this city, and we love the city. We've been born and brought up in it, and we feel like we're being shut out. The government has allowed these foreign investors, I think, just to kind of come in and take over.
It was really lovely, thank you.
It's a playground for the rich, and no one else is invited.
Our first-time buyers are struggling, which makes you wonder, why is Asia so in love with London? I've come to Hong Kong. They're pouring fortunes into London. They already have all this. But property here has rocketed 60% in 2 years. Now many fear the bubble could burst. To calm things, they've even slapped a 23% tax on any foreigner buying property here.
The Hong Kong government's put these new cooling measures in place to slow it down. And as Hong Kong buyers love speculating on property, what they've done is just literally get their money and take it to London.
Now every weekend, those speculative investors flock to expos selling London property. Their new best buy.
In London it's cheap. It's as simple as that. 300,000, 400,000 pounds. People can afford it here, and they can afford to pay cash as well. So that's one of the main reasons, is the affordability. If I'm paying, or we're paying £2 million for a property, 2-bed here, and it's cost a quarter or less than that, then it's considered affordable. And you talk about London, it's a global city, it's got a great government, it's considered a safe haven.
And there's no shortage of Brits spreading the word.
Well, property values are rising throughout the UK.
Cheap. Very cheap. No, I'm serious.
I actually spent a week over there and I found something.
What would your message to all those Londoners that you're beating in the purchase?
Don't push us out. We're coming in with the money, so I think it's good for the economy, I guess.
Do you understand why Londoners are getting angry with you guys buying all this property?
I would be.
Take a look at this tiny micro apartment. It's all £330,000 will buy you in Hong Kong. So just looking at this is why London and the UK are so appealing to Chinese investors.
Exactly. You can live here and you do everything on your own.
But you'd want to be on your own in here, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
For the same money, a Chinese investor can get a decent 2-3-bed buy-to-let in London, earning double the rent. But that's just the type of home Londoners are desperate to buy. Centreline is one of Hong Kong's biggest estate agents. This worker is closing a sale on far-off Croydon. An Englishman might think his home is castle, but the boss here considers it a toy.
Some people are buying property as a toy. Actually, maybe in UK, there's some very special property. They will like it and they buy it.
As a toy?
As a toy.
It's a touchy subject. These London agents wouldn't be interviewed about the Hackney flats they're selling here.
Okay, so essentially you're saying you can't now do the interview.
One by one, British estate agents are going shy.
Londoners will see Chinese people buying their homes, and you don't want them to know that.
But back at the expo, Savills head of Asia braved the camera to explain why on earth new London homes are being offered to Asia first.
I have to say that we normally do bring it and exhibit it in Asia first because culturally people are accepting to buy 2 or 3 years in advance, and British people can buy if they want. They just choose not to most of the time. Something like Battersea, one of the biggest elements of that being a success is that it was sold off plan. How many times has it changed hands over the course of the last 30 years? It's sat there, derelict, and actually it's going to be a huge pinnacle point of London and really set itself on the map over the course of the next 10 years.
This is a brochure for Capital Towers E15 Stratford, 6,000 miles away. It's incredibly glossy. There are aerial views, room interiors. They've sold most of the flats, but in reality, this building does not yet exist. This is it, a building site next to 3 tiers of traffic and the rather bleak Bow flyover. At $326,000 for a riverside 1-bed, it's no option for our first-time buyers. The brochure claims it's 20 minutes from Buckingham Palace. If you do get a royal invite, be warned. TfL says it's 54 minutes door-to-door. But from his Hong Kong office, Neil Jensen has already sold most of them.
It's been one of the fastest selling this year, I would say. In one weekend it was over 50, and then down in Singapore it was about another 30 down there, so it's been busy.
There's not many left now at all, is there?
No. Computer generated images as to what it's going to look like really do help us. People can go onto Google Earth now. You can walk down the street on your computer screen so people can see it.
We have images of how that would look.
And that's how they buy in Asia. So if they buy in Asia, then they can do that for London.
But if Chinese investors here stick to their habits, this experienced Hong Kong estate agent has a warning for London.
They view the property market almost like the equities market. You know, they look at they're in and they're out, and they speculate heavily. People like to normally go in, buy property and sell 12 months later. It's a very short-term view. It's viewed as a commodity. They don't care where it is. They're just after capital growth.
London versus rest of UK.
People often will buy property and never put a tenant in there. To have a tenant in a property in Hong Kong, if you want to sell it, is a negative. You'll look up at like high-rise buildings here at night and all the lights are off. And that's because, you know, a third of the building is probably owned by mainland Chinese, and they just keep their shopping bags there when they visit, you know, once a quarter.
Well, you get to have that property over there. That's interesting.
Back in London, with so many struggling to buy, investment homes standing empty could become very embarrassing.
I have responsibility for housing and development in the council.
This Islington councillor claims he has evidence it's already happening here at the luxury Bezier building on Old Street, where flats go for over $1 million.
I think the problem that I found when I started digging in some of the electoral roll data and the council tax data is almost half of these 127 flats are registered as empty or have no response to the electoral roll, and the other ones have a strange combination of sometimes students registered as being exempt, sometimes companies, and actually only about a third of these flats are what you might call a typical use, where you've got an individual registered to vote and registered to pay council tax. I think a lot of these flats are being used as places for wealthy people, particularly people from overseas, to stash their cash and sit back whilst they see their asset go up in value. And I think it's really galling, it's really insulting to Londoners who need somewhere to live and work.
These are the views. Inside these very plush apartments, Bezier say they know of only 4 empty flats. Can you stop people buying one of these and then leaving it empty?
No, we can't. No, we can't. But the fact of the matter is that that is not what is happening here. The facts are here to be seen when you physically spend the time in the development and you see who lives here and who is here on a day-to-day basis.
You don't go by the figures that he has gathered from Islington Council?
Most certainly not.
All right, you're perfectly safe with me, don't worry.
London's mayor's worked hard for Chinese investment to the capital, but recently gave a warning to foreigners boarding the London property game.
We want to see these new build homes, or these homes that they buy, lived in. Because my view is that London homes aren't some kind of new global asset class. They aren't just blocks of bullion.
Lovely to meet you both. If you've got any questions or queries, I'll give you my card.
At Eagle Old Street, Michael's client might buy.
I think 90% or 80% he will choose the one, yeah.
As we rise above the showroom, the developer warns Londoners to be very careful what they wish for when sneering at foreign investors.
Your traditional London purchaser, in Mount Anvil's experience, did not buy off plan. A building like this, which was idle for, I think, about 3 years, 27 stories, ugly concrete frame, without those forward sales, this building would not have been restarted. So Mount Anvil has created about 1,000 jobs out of this building. And a lot of our purchasers here are actually London people as well, so we think it's a win-win. And there's about 70 affordable homes here as well. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the international buyers.
That's 2 houses, £150 please.
It's a cruel twist that many investment apartments will be rented out to the Londoners now priced out of buying.
So do you want to go that way and I'll go that way and meet in the middle?
Jez has taken to leafleting homes, desperate to escape those mass viewings and sealed bids.
Please excuse this rather direct approach, but there's very little on the market and your house looks like one we'd be interested in. I'm going to be 30 in 6 months' time. I don't want to be paying off someone else's mortgage. I want to pay my own mortgage. I'm now looking in Forest Gate, which is an area that is, for want of a better term, up and coming. Is there much crime around here?
Huh?
Is there much crime around here?
No, I don't.
Kind of got to imagine it without all the stuff in it as well, haven't you? Yeah. So this is the one that I'm going to see on Saturday, and it looks quite nice actually, if you have a look.
It does, but you've got 5 minutes. You've got a 5-minute slot to see it. Text us by 5 o'clock.
Well,
and it's just, the pressure is just unbelievable on you.
They're just out of my price range, really.
The truth, I'm just going to have to help her financially. I mean, I got friends who say, oh, we stood on our own 2 feet, we were set on the housing ladder, and we get going, and no one gave us any help. Well, I don't think that's a realistic approach or a fair approach to adopt now. I think actually we've just been really lucky. It is incredible that my daughter's now priced out of Walthamstow.
Priced out and moving on, their cunning plan to steal a lead in the Wild East and the new railroad coming to Forest Gate.
I really think once Crossrail comes to Forest Gate, people are going to start to realise the value of Crossrail, that you can get into Liverpool Street really quickly, you can get to Paddington really quickly, and it's going to make it more desirable for overseas investors as well.
But if Jez thinks the overseas competition hasn't noticed Crossrail, I've some very bad news from Hong Kong. There are plenty of wise old Chinese proverbs, but perhaps one for the 21st century, certainly for Hong Kongers, is he who buys near a new subway station makes lots of money. Until 1979, Hong Kong had no subway. Now it has 152 stations, and every new suburb it reaches sees property values soar. So the Chinese get Crossrail.
The Queen stayed at the controls for the short journey between Green Park and Oxford Circus.
Londoners haven't seen a completely new tube line since the opening of the Victoria way back in 1969.
Crossrail is the single biggest driver. In Asia, they just see opportunity and they know that there's an end product there, and that is definitely driving the market, no doubt about it.
So they're looking at maps of Crossrail and buying along the line?
Absolutely.
London's rapid new east-west connection, paid for by British taxpayers and London business, and shaping where Mr. Liang invests £1 million.
I'm looking for the house around $1 million.
Around 1 million?
Yeah.
And there's a Crossrail.
Yeah, another Crossrail gonna completion on 2018.
I believe after Crossrail finished, the capital income will be increased roughly around 10 to 15% every year.
They're not living with the roadworks, they're not living with the signs and all the rest of it. They just think, wow, in 5 years, that's only going to be 15 minutes away, and at the moment, it's nearly an hour. There's always been foreign investment in London, always. But you can't be a world city and not allow foreign buyers.
Land itself.
So I see and it's not just gleaming towers for sale. How about a slice of green belt in Epsom? Chinese investors are gambling we'll build on it eventually.
It's great because the profit at the end is about 600%.
So essentially you're selling land at the moment that hasn't got planning permission, but the idea is buy now and at some point they may get it just because London's getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly. Obviously, with all that pressure on the government, permissions are becoming easier.
It just seems crazy.
It's a great long-term investment. It is a great one. And I don't care where you're from. If you've got the money and you like to invest, this makes all the sense in the world.
I'm beginning to wonder, is this a London mania? One man here called in lawyers after buying a property described as a 40-minute walk to central London. It was in Lincolnshire.
Some people are going to get burned, aren't they?
If you're buying in a sort of secondary location where the large majority of owners are foreign, who are in there speculating, suddenly if the market drops 5% and everyone's looking to sell at the same time, that just pushes the price down further.
So there could be tears?
I'd say there'd be a few tears, yeah.
Nowhere is this more apparent than along the River Thames. Areas once considered pretty rough are now seeing luxury developments £900,000 and up per apartment. It seems absurd to local residents, and some experts are also getting worried.
In the 15 years that we've been running Estates Gazette London Residential Research, we've never seen anything like this.
Over half the units in the pipeline are going up in this necklace of high-end, high-rise towers to the south of the Thames. And you ask a Londoner, and they will tell you these properties aren't really in places you would call prime, never mind super prime, and yet they're attracting really Mayfair-style price tags. And you've got to say, what happens off the back of those Mayfair-style price tags? Well, we reckon this has all the hallmarks of a bubble. And the researchers tell me this bubble has maybe 2.5, 3 years to run in it. The people who possibly could get hurt in this are those looking to use debt to buy homes to live in that have been pushed further and further and further out into London.
The Londoners, basically.
The Londoners.
Snared in a bubble or miss out on the 11% rise predicted for London property this year. A frightening game, and our players are intent on taking that chance. But with the world also rolling the dice on their home, it isn't going to be easy. Louise and Nick have a sealed bid in on their new frontier, Plasto. Jez and Dad had an offer accepted and await bank approval. After discovering he could only buy a boat for under 100,000, Tom now plans to buy with a friend.
It's tough for the buyers. Yeah, we do feel sorry for them.
And Leanne, winner of that crazy sealed bid, was dumped. The owner put it back on the market for yet another 10 grand more. Why? Because for now, he can.